Well, howdy everyone, Cowy, your average sim racer here. I think it's week 10 now for season 1 of the V8 Supercars Gen 3 Supercars, I should say. Unfortunately, I've had some technical issues the last couple of weeks. My internet dropped out 1 week just before I was about to start the race, and then last week I went to go in and do the recordings, and my voice meter banana, the program I use to get the sort of sound from my PC over to my laptop where it does all the recordings, come through all garbled on that, so I lost sort of all of my recordings. So I've since fixed all of that, so hopefully we don't have any issues here for this track guide. As you can see, we are at Red Bull Ring. It's pretty foggy and cool track conditions, 25 degrees, that's not too bad. I was doing a bit of practice in another room before, and there was it had rained earlier in that one, so you were getting a dry line, and you're able to go out in slicks, but you still had to avoid curbs and things like that. This is a track I've been looking forward to. I don't know if it's one of my quickest tracks. It's quite hard, it used to be quite hard to pass here in the Gen 2 cars. You ended up with big sort of DRS style trains. But I have enjoyed driving here, and I tend to like this track. It sort of has a nice flow to it. Alright, so let's set up the start of the lap. Now you can get right out on the green here as long as you keep tyres on the green part. You're all good for track limits. Alright, and the same thing, you need to keep 2 white tyres inside the white line there. Alright, coming into T1, we're looking to brake at about 130, and we're going back to third, getting in really close to that sausage curb so you can get on the gas. You can ride the outside there a little bit, but it does get slippery, and that little sausage curb there can catch you out. Now here we're braking probably just inside the 150, going all the way back to second, trailing deep into the corner, and trying to get on the gas as quick as you can coming out. Straight line it through here. It's another corner where we're looking to brake just inside the brake marker, so just inside the 150. Back to third, get up on this curb so you can really use the exit. Stay tight to the right here, and you're looking to brake at about 60. Going back to third for this corner. You can start to apply some gas as you get around the corner, but be careful not to apply too much or the car will rotate out. Braking just past the white arrow there, back to third. Get on the gas, try to use all of the exit that you can. Trying to keep the wheel as straight as possible, but try to stay on the red and white if you can. And again, braking at about 90 up. Get up on that inside curb. Again, use all of the exit, back to third. You can get up over that sausage curb on the inside there, and there is a lap of the Red Bull Ring in the dry. Now, because the weather is in play, I will have a wet version of this track guide out there too. So we can get up there pretty close to it, get a bit better exit. We're already up a tenth or two. And I'm showing comparison sector. I don't know why it was showing that. But anyway, I'm going to brake at about 140. Back to second. Could possibly go a little bit deeper. So, you can make that big dive bomb, but do remember that if you're in the toe, you're going to be going a bit quicker there. So if you brake deeper and you're going quicker, that's when you might get into trouble. Alright. You could probably use a bit more of the road. Let's try and... I should have gone out a bit wider there. Yeah. And I thought that I'd cut myself a bit short there. Get it on pretty hard coming out of that corner there. It's going to be an interesting week. As I said, this tended to be a hard place to pass in the Gen 2 cars. You can see there though, the rear getting a little bit lively on me. Try Carry a bit more speed through here. That's better. Get up right over that curbing. Yep, so, you know, the Gen 2 cars you used to have an issue with hitting the inside of that curb. With Gen 3 here, looks like that, the way the differential works. Let's get over and a bit wider so we can carry a bit more speed through. That's what I'm talking about there. When you get up on that, can unsettle the car. Now, as I usually do, I'll bring this around and put it into the pits, and then what we might try and do is fire up a wet session and see how awkward this place is in the wet. Because one thing you got to remember is you can't really use the curbs like you can in the dry. And as always, I'm on full fuel. Yeah, should be using a bit more of that there. That's better. You can really start to apply the gas there. The car does want to give you some nice grip, as always, using the VRS setup at the moment with full fuel. I think it's about 70 or 80 litres you start with. Oh, probably about 80, I would say. What's our fuel burn? 3.5. Alright, so to come into the pits, you go back to third instead of staying in fourth, so that you can really get down into here. Oh no, there we go, we've binned it. We've gone in too hard. Alright, and what you normally would be looking to do is brake about where that banner is going across the pit lane entry there. Alright.
3, 2, 1.
So what we'll do now is, as always, we'll jump in a wet session and see if we can see what this beast is like with some water on the track. See you soon. Howdy everyone, Cowy back for the wet weather portion of this video. As you can see, the radar, it might be a little bit hard on this video to see it, but it looks like it's been heavy for the last 15-20 minutes and it's now starting to lighten up. So let's go out on track and see how we go. We've chosen the VRS wet setup. The race setup, so again 80 litres. It starts at. You've got to be aware that cold rubber on a wet track, it can be quite tricky. So this outlap, you know, as usual, we'll be trying to sort of push a little bit to try and get some heat in the tyres, but just take it easy, try and stay away from the danger areas. Oh, see there, the car is washing out already. It generally takes about 2 laps, so the outlap and your first lap, to get sort of any temperature in these tyres, and that's sort of pretty much the same in the wet. But the big rule in the wet is try and stay away from curbs and sort of the big heavy rubber areas if you can, because that's where the water's going to pool. As for your braking zones, they're pretty similar in the dry because you're not carrying quite as much speed because your exits isn't quite as good. But like here, you'd get up on that curb and look at the puddles in right against that curb there. This curb here you could possibly get away with by the looks of it, and maybe a bit of that curb as well, but no, see that car just started to go straight to the right. Alright, so let's start the lap. We're going to go back to third instead of fourth, just to try and get a bit more control and try to stay inside the right. Now you cut that a little bit, because the idea is you don't want to be going out on that curbing out there on the left. Alright, now one of the things I did do wrong in the driving portion of this video is I didn't get out there on the curbs and use that quite enough. And I suppose it was because before I was doing some practice in the wet. Look, you see there, the car just didn't want to turn. There's a lot of rubber in that section there where, you know, you're carrying quite a bit of speed and get the car to turn. So that's one where we're going to have to keep an eye on that. But again, here we can brake probably at the 150. Probably could go a little bit deeper, but again, it's all about being careful on throttle on exit. Now, I think the throttle map in this setup is linear, so it's pretty much set to, I think it's 6, which is the linear mode. Or I think we might end up going back to second there maybe, but third's going to give you better traction on exit.
Okay, Andrew, it's stop fading.
Starting to get a bit of grip in the tyres now, but still, as I said before, you've got to be really careful when you get near those puddles of water and the curbs. And again, sort of braking at about 90 there, maybe 100, but again, just got to be careful. Don't want to get on those curbs there. Cut that one a little bit so we stay off that outside curb. Look, the puddles out there. Don't want to go anywhere near that. Alright, let's try another lap. Now we'll get a bit more temp in the tyres. Oh, she still slid through there. That might be going back to second for that corner, I think, in the wet. But there's a lot of rubber in there, so it's going to be a tricky spot for the race for sure. You got to be really gentle when you get near those sort of puddles and those heavily rubbered areas. Oh, so second's a bit dangerous there. I think we'll stay in third. Even though we're actually going a bit quicker, I think, this lap. But again, as I said, the tyres have sort of come up to temp. Get close there by the looks of it. There's not a lot of rubber getting in the road, but again, you want to be careful of the curve. See the puddle there affecting me. Staying fourth, but staying off the curbs. Back to third. Cut this one, or is that too much of a cut? No? Got away with that. Okay, so you can really get up over that inside curb there. Alright, we're almost a second quicker that lap, just once the tyres are up to temp. Yeah, look, that is going to be your troublesome corner. If I want to stay in third there, I think if I go back to second, the car's going to want to step out. So, yeah, I think you're just going to have to be wary of that, guys. Good luck this week if you get a wet rain. A wet race, I should say. Oh. See there, you know, there's like a section through the middle of that corner where the car is just sliding. Here comes the rain again, by the looks of it. Definitely want to be staying in third, I reckon. Yep. And see how slippy that curve is getting out there. Alright, as usual, we'll bring this around to the pits. It certainly has been interesting few laps in the wet. There is grip out there, though. You just got to look for it. And I was quite lucky, actually. I fired up, got out of the other session and got straight into this session, and it was a wet one. So I didn't have to create my own session. See if we can get the pit entry a bit better this time.
Watch your speed.
Alright. So at least we know how to enter the pit a bit better there. But the same, look, in the dry and versus the wet, your brake markers are pretty similar. Maybe a couple of meters earlier if you want to be a bit safer. But for the most part, you're using the same brake markers because you're not getting quite the exit that you would
Left
have
front,
in the dry.
98%. Left rear, 95.
Okay, well there you go. So you're looking at about 1.5% a lap, I would say. Maybe 2% if you're overusing the tyres in the wet. But good luck out there this week. I think it's going to be quite a challenge if you get a wet race here at Red Bull Ring. It is quite a fast and flowing circuit. In the dry, it can be hard to pass. In the wet, I think it's going to be a whole different challenge. I hope you all enjoyed the track guides out there. If you are, please do give me a like and subscribe. But this is Cowy Average Sim Racer signing off, and hopefully we'll see you out in track soon. Cheers.